What if a child's biggest fear is not the dark? What if the dark is familiar, quiet, predictable, almost safe, but daylight feels dangerous? And what if the real question isn't what children fear, but why they feel they must hide it? Monsters don't hide under beds anymore. They walk through doors everyone else uses. You're 8, and you already know where to hide. You know which corner isn't visible from the door. You know how to stay quiet, even when your legs shake. You know how to push a desk against the wall, but you still don't know what you want to be when you grow up. You're not planning the future. You're surviving today. And maybe that's the part most adults never notice. Lockdown drills come before spelling tests. Safety before childhood. What if turn off the lights and stay silent are phrases you hear so many times they stop sounding scary and start sounding normal? Fear stops feeling like fear. It becomes normal. What if every morning before school you look at your backpack and wonder, will I bring this home today? What if you're not afraid of bad grades or disappointing a teacher, but of a sudden sound that changes everything faster than anyone can react? A sound you've heard on the news, in videos, in stories adults say you're too young to understand, even though you already do. And here's the question nobody asks out loud. What does that do to a child's sense of safety? What if you're afraid of getting lost? Not because you don't know the way, but because you know some children go missing and leave families without answers. What if every warning your parents give is not comforting, but heavy? Don't talk to strangers. Stay where I can see you. Hold my hand. Because now you know how easy it is to become vulnerable, and how little control a small body has in a big world. But the outside world is only part of the story. The internet isn't just connection. Sometimes it's exposure. Not because of strangers, but classmates. Because one screenshot can last forever. One video can change everything. One message can follow you long after the screen turns black. The phone lights up. Your heart speeds up before you even read, not waiting for a message, but bracing for one. A notification that feels like a knock on the door you don't want to open. Group chats feel like crowded rooms where silence is louder than words, where everyone is watching even when nobody is typing, where silence can mean exclusion, where laughter emojis can hide sharp edges, where a joke can turn into a label that never washes off. But here's the part adults rarely see. Fear today doesn't always look like fear. Sometimes it looks like silence, like scrolling, like saying, "I'm fine," a little too quickly. And if fear doesn't look loud, how do you notice it? What if you read the same sentence over and over, trying to understand if it's friendly or cruel? You learn to edit yourself before anyone else can, rewriting messages, deleting photos, shrinking your personality to fit inside something safer. School doesn't end anymore. It follows you home. Because the hallway follows you home. The whispers travel faster than sleep. And night doesn't end the day, it just changes the screen. What if adults stand too close to the screen, scrolling through your world like inspectors, and suddenly the only space that felt yours doesn't belong to you anymore? What if being watched makes you quieter, more careful, more alone? And yet, what if being completely alone there feels just as unsafe? This was never about control. It's about closeness. It's, how do we stay close enough that they don't feel alone? Somewhere between control and distance is a space that feels like breathing. A place where you know someone is near, not hovering, not judging, not waiting for a mistake. Just there. like a light left on in another room. What if you don't need someone to read every message, but you need to know there is one person you could show them to without fear? Someone who doesn't rush to take the phone away, doesn't turn every confession into a lecture, but listens long enough for the words to land safely. Children don't just fear monsters. They fear losing the people who make the world stable. Not just to loss, but to everything else. To danger in the world, to legal troubles, to stress, to money problems, to arguments whispered at night when they think you're asleep. Sirens pass outside. Sleep disappears. You lie awake and wonder if they're coming for someone you love. What if you start planning your life around the idea that things can disappear at any moment? What if you don't ask these questions out loud? Because every time you try, an adult smiles and says, "It's just a phase. Don't worry so much. You'll grow out of it." What if it doesn't pass? What if it just becomes quieter, heavier, deeper? What if fear doesn't disappear? It just learns how to hide inside a child who doesn't want to be a problem. Children don't need more control. They need presence. Someone who asks, "How are you really?" What if the safest place for a child isn't a house full of cameras or apps full of filters, but an evening where you put your phone down, turn off the TV, sit beside them? Even if you're tired, even if the day was heavy, even if you don't have answers. Because to a child, you are not just an adult. You are the proof that someone stays when things get scary. You are how they learn to cope, to talk, to not disappear inside themselves. One hug today can matter more than 1,000 words tomorrow. And what if the scariest question of childhood isn't about monsters or darkness, but this? Does anyone even notice me? Sometimes you don't need the right words. Sometimes it's enough to notice, to ask, to listen, to hold them. Because when children are afraid of reality, not fantasy, the world has already gone too far. And maybe the most important thing we can do isn't to explain the danger, but to make sure they don't face it alone. Right now.